Buddy Coach Biff here with the old guard, um, and bringing in one of Butler's finest, um, current Miami Dolphin, former Appalachian State Mountaineer, Kendall Lamm. Kendall, thanks for being on with me today, man.
Of course, brother. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Um, Kendall, I mean, like I said, I mean, you're a bulldog like I am, and you've been around for a long time. And tell me a little bit about your football journey, kind of how you got to play an offensive line and where it's taken you in your career.
Well, early on, it's crazy. I was actually on the enemy side of the ball. I started out this football life as a defensive end when I was extremely young and Pop Warner and everything. And then, of course, if anybody's ever seen my mother or my family are very large human beings. So as time progressed, I got more and more size. Of course, played in middle school. Middle school, you do it all. Played O line, D line, ran the ball a little bit, did everything under the sun. Then, of course, I went to Butler. Well, good old Coach Hales and good old Coach Newsom, and you know how the times were back then. I come in there, I'm skinny. I mean, for offensive lineman, still am, but I come in and really understand, what O line play can be. And then we have a phenomenal career at Butler, winning the first state championship there. And then everything kind of took off. Went to App State, started 4 years left tackle there, and now we blink, and I'm about to go in the year 11 in the NFL, man. So it's been a blessing. It's been a lot of hard work, been a lot of discipline and consistency, but I've had good people around, so it's been a blessing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Um, if kind of talking to high school Kendall and talking to all the high school offensive linemen out there, if you go back to high school Kendall, um, what piece of advice would you give yourself? Maybe something you didn't realize about your game, about your craft, and what you can do to make yourself a better player.
Well, if you're going to talk about our position and our the most coveted piece of my heart, offensive line play, most kids in high school don't really want to play O line. If you want to be completely honest,
Mhm.
most kids want to play the glitz and glam positions. But for the few who will be chosen, for the few who will enjoy offensive line play, I would say stretching. Stretching is definitely something that you want to jump on early. I'm a little older now, but you want to stay as limber as possible. That's one of the biggest things I would always tell people. And then I know it's different now because it's more at the forefront for most people, but nutrition is huge. I know a lot of times some people might not have the means to get certain things, but eating the candy at night at 10, 11 o'clock on the weekends, going to the buffets and having the ice creams after, like, a lot of sugar and stuff like that, stay away from it. We're already bigger men as it is. You're going to be bigger as it is. But if you want to excel and do the things from offensive line standpoint, you have to do the small details because that's our game is a chess match. So that's what it is.
Absolutely, man. That's great advice. Um, as far as offensive line play, what has been your favorite memory as an offensive lineman?
There's a lot, but here, give me a second. I'll show it to you. Give me 1 second. Oh. So a lot of us don't necessarily get to touch the ball unless you pull the ball at center. Well, this one right here, if you can read it, I'll turn the light on for you. This is one of my prized possessions as an O lineman.
There we go.
I was actually able to touch, of course, a touchdown in a real NFL game, thrown by Baker Mayfield. And like I said earlier in this, most O linemen don't first off want to be O linemen to a certain extent. The life kind of chooses you. So the fact that I chose this life, and it was good to me, and I got to catch a true touchdown in an NFL game as an O lineman, as a big man, you know how big that is. So that's near and dear to my heart.
That's huge. That's huge, man. My best ever was a 2 point conversion in middle school.
Okay,
So
okay,
I never got a chance to touch outside of that. I got credit for one in high school one time, but I
right,
had to be real. My boy Andrew Barnes,
right,
our left tackle, actually recovered. I knocked the guy off the ball in the end zone
right,
so he could dive on it. That was my senior
100%.
year at Butler.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
what I back when you and I first met, I met you through the fact that like my daughter and your cousin play softball together, and we go back
Right,
almost 10 years now. Um,
right,
back when we first met, you were playing with the Texans, and you had J.J. Watt on a day in day out basis. Talk a little bit about what life is like with those kind of guys, playing like a JJ Watt on an everyday basis, kind of what that's like.
As you get older. When you're younger, you really don't necessarily. It takes time to really and truly understand what goes into this game. It takes time to really and truly perfect your craft from that standpoint. But I always go back to what I was taught by Coach Hales. I approach practice and I approach games the same way. And I know a lot of people will sit there and say, "Well, how does your body hold up?" That goes into your preparation, what you sit there and do outside the game. But once I got to the NFL, I mean, even in college, I could tell when I first got to school, I was a little bit different. I could tell that I took the weight room more serious. I could tell that my details in practice were very particular. But if you know me as a person in general, I'm a very particular man. Like if you were to walk into my house is clean. If you go into my room, my bed is made. If you go into my laundry room, everything once I'm done, it gets folded right away. Like I'm a very on top of things type person. Like if I don't, it kind of gives me like I just my equilibrium's completely off if I'm not. But from a football aspect, I mean, you have to understand, I've gone against people who are going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I mean, these are my peers and these are my friends. Like, for example, going against Miles Garrett this year, I'm having a conversation with Miles the whole game. And we're talking about how his mom's doing, how his family's doing. Of course, blocking and going at each other the whole time, too. But it's just, you build that rapport with people. But from a preparation standpoint, man, for us in the NFL wise, it breaks down to the film room. Like, how can you know who you're going against if you don't break them down? If you relate that from a high school standpoint, why would I not, make little notes on guys that I just went against? Like, why would I not have a tiny notebook just like this, for instance, that I could jot down little things that I saw? Why could I not sit there and see, weight distribution in people's hands from a defensive lineman? Do they tighten down when they move the front? Or how's the linebacker level look like? What are the safeties? See, a lot of kids in high school don't see the triangle. When I approach the line as an offensive lineman in general, I check, of course, what my three technique or shade looks like. If there's a two look on the outside linebacker, where they're placed, defensive and outside linebacker, depending on the defense, what the two high, one high safety looks like, where your nickel's at, and if you have a DB, typically that's over your slot. Is he capped by your safety? See, these are terms that most people, it's like, they don't get. But from my perspective and how I've been drilled, I mean, if you want to be very, very good at our position, it's not a flashy position, but we're the engine. We're the engine in the car. So it's like you have to have the little minute things that will help you get to where you need to be. So, from overall, I'd say just being locked in, big time.
This is huge information and great knowledge that I hope these young men take in because it's extremely important for them to understand the mental side of the game. I remember I tell people when I didn't play obviously the level you did, but going to play college football, I remember walking in the door and like I didn't know any like I knew that there was cover one and I knew that there was cover
Right,
two and I knew there was man to man. I couldn't tell you what the finer details as an offensive lineman, like what does the finer detail of a cover one or corner
right,
tell me about what we can expect for the rest of the
right,
defense. Um,
100%.
that was huge for me. My last question, Kendall, we all have one, man. What is your favorite play to block? What's your bread and butter?
It's gonna be outside zone for me, and to be honest with you, it could be an open side or a closed side. I can be tripling with the tight end to a safety if, depending upon the look, we could be tripling to the front side linebacker, depending upon the center's point. Or for me, really and truly, I like the man blocks when it's an open side run. Like an outside zone Wanda, something along the lines there. Because I mean, for me, it's mano y mano, and I'm the type of person like if you say you're the best, then let's see who's the best. Like I get it. People, their opinions are going to skew one way or the other, but I never really formulate my opinion until I go against you. So, but at the same time, power scheme, everything, I like it all. But from my personal perspective, the outside zone scheme is the best run scheme in the game. So when you're mano a mano with someone, you see where you size up, and I like to know where I add up on a lot of people. So yes, sir.
Man, Kendall, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you so much for the time and the opportunity to sit and speak with you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge of the game and where you've been. Man, I couldn't be more appreciative of you.
Oh yes, sir. You let me know if you ever need me again. I'm always around.
Thanks, Kendall. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.